Alright, so you want to figure out how to animate a basic orbit of a planet. So to start, we're going to create a couple of 3D objects. We're going to create a couple of spheres. And I'm going to just resize this one, duplicate it, move it over, and resize it to smaller. Now that we're right here, you're going to start by in here, you're going to create an empty. This is mostly just for position purpose. Essentially, it's the origin of where this planet's going to orbit. I do already have a couple of things to put on there. There we go, good to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to first, you want to create your animation for your planet. If you don't, things can get a little complicated, and if you're not really huge into animation, it's much easier to have like a few smaller animation files doing individual things, but you can get stuff chained and moving along together and all sorts of fun things. But this is just the easiest method for a basic orbit. So what we're going to do is we're going to animation, create an animation to this, and I always have my stuff in my animations folder, so I'm going to call this my rotator. Um, and there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to first add a property, and it's going to be transform rotation. And over here at the 1 minute mark, we're going to press record, and you're going to hold control just so that it locks into place. Do a full 360 rotation and press record again. And now when you press play, it rotates. But as you see at the end, it does do a little stopping thing. So that's controlled by the curves. And all you're going to do is you're going to select the rotation that you have. You're going to click the one end, shift click the second end, right click, both tangents linear. You can right click on both of the dots and change each of them to linear, but that takes extra time and it's easier just to shift click and do both at once. So now when we press play, we have a perfect consistent animation that's just going to keep spinning. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this object, there we go. We're going to take this object and we're going to place it into our game object we created earlier, our empty. And now we're going to take that game object and we're going to create an animation. I'm calling it orbiter. And I've done this multiple times now, so there we go. And you're going to add a rotation to it. And at the very end, you're going to press record. And again, do a full 360. Press record again. And now when we press play, we have the same issue where it stops at the end and start. And we're going to go into curves again. Going to select our position, shift click both ends, right click both tangents, linear. Now, when we press play, we have a nice, consistent orbit. Now, last thing you want to do is you're going to want to go back to your drop sheet, and somewhere in the middle, I put mine at the 30-second mark just to make it an even oval. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a property, transform position, and we're going to press record. Get position mode open, move it over to the left, press record, and now when we press play, we have a nice elliptical orbit. I don't recommend changing the position to linear because it creates a diamond shape almost, as opposed to a nice oval. And so to adjust the speed of everything, when we press play now, you'll be able to see under scene that it's all orbiting correctly and rotating, but everything's going really fast. So to change this, select your game object first, and then adjust the speed to like 0.2. Nice slow orbit, and as you can see, that's spinning wildly. And then we go to the sphere, and under, again, the animator tab, under rotator, we're going to change this to like 0.3. Nice slow orbit, and if we change that to 0.1, it's going to be even slower. There we go. And now you have yourself a basic orbit. Things to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and stop the play mode. Go back to this middle frame. Middle frame. Oh, not that one. Oops, game object, middle frame. And things to mention, the further out you put this, the more keyframes you're going to have to add to the beginning and end. Because if I move it all the way out here, oh, if I press record and move it all the way out here, and now press play, it might not look as good as you want, so you may want to add a couple more keyframes, maybe here at like the 5 and 55-second mark to help smooth out this end, and possibly around the 25 and 35-second mark to help smooth out this end. Mostly just positional things, but yeah, if you press play now, you may notice that the orbit might not be exactly what you want, because as you see, it gets real pointy right at the ends. It's almost like an eye shape as opposed to an oval or ellipse. So feel free to take this and do whatever you, or feel free to do whatever you want. And with this, I hope this helps you expand your knowledge, and you all have a great day. One more thing I forgot to mention. I did not mean to do that. One more thing I forgot to mention. If you want to have the orbit inclined like that, and you try to animate it, there is a slight issue, and you're really going to have to work with keyframes on this. And I'm gonna go animations. Yeah, okay. Add property rotation. One thing that you're gonna have an issue with is the keyframes here. So when you press record and go all the way around, the issue with this is it's gonna stay at it's gonna be a halo orbit, unfortunately. Alright, so all you need to do to fix this is make sure you have a position on, get a point in the middle. You're going to drop it down, not to the exact opposite, because I believe that that seems to cause an issue when I do it. Um, but we can actually just record. Let's actually bring this down to 30, record again. So yeah, just a keyframe in the middle, and now I'm going to press play. And in theory, this should be orbiting fairly correctly. Again, you may need to adjust some keyframes up here where it gets to a point. But yeah, everything should work out just fine if you have everything set up like that. You just add a keyframe in the middle and just make sure you tilt it. Make sure you have a position on there, because otherwise that'll make it otherwise it'll end up with a really, really, really crazy orbit. So that's how you fix that. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.